My name is Anna Marie, and I grew up in a small town far from the city. My family was strict, and my father made all the decisions. In our home, a daughter did not speak against her parents. A daughter agreed. A daughter listened. A daughter said yes, even when she wanted to say no. I learned this from a young age. I watched my 2 older sisters follow the same rule. When my turn came, I felt the same pressure. I was only 18 when my father sat in front of me at the dinner table. His face was calm. His voice was firm. He said it was time for me to marry. I did not ask why. I did not ask who the man was. I knew my father did not want questions. He wanted agreement. So I smiled, even though I did not feel happy, and I said yes. My mother looked away, and her hands shook a little, but she said nothing. Maybe she wanted to speak. Maybe she wanted to stop this. But she stayed quiet, just like me. The wedding came fast. I wore a white dress that my aunt chose for me. The dress was soft, but it felt strange on my skin. I stood in front of many people. They smiled at me and I smiled back. But the smile felt weak. My new husband, Peter, stood next to me. He was older than me. He spoke kindly, but I did not know him at all. Everything felt rushed. I walked through the ceremony like I was watching someone else. When the day ended, I sat in our new home and felt far away from myself. I told myself to be strong. Many women lived this way. Many women accepted their life. I thought I could do the same. The weeks passed, then months. I learned how Peter liked his tea. I learned the way he folded his shirts. I learned how he spoke when he was tired and when he was upset. He did not hurt me, but he did not see me either. He was polite, but he was distant. We spoke about meals, chores, rain, and work. Nothing more. Our home was quiet. Too quiet. Sometimes I tried to start a warm conversation, but it always ended fast. I felt alone even when he was in the same room. I spent long evenings sitting near the window, watching people walk by on the street. They looked free. They laughed and talked. I wondered if I would ever feel that way. Each day felt the same. I cooked. I cleaned. I agreed. Inside me grew a slow sense of sadness that I did not know how to explain. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was a quiet loss. A simple loss of myself. 2 years went by. My family said I should be grateful. They said I had a stable home and a stable husband. They said many girls wished for this life. I tried to believe them, but it was not easy. I wanted more than a quiet room and polite talk. I wanted to wake up with a smile. I wanted a purpose. I wanted to feel like my life mattered. Instead, I spent most days trying not to cry. I did not want my parents to see me as weak. I did not want Peter to think I was childish. So I kept my feelings hidden. I woke up early. I kept the home clean. I behaved the way everyone expected. But each night, when I sat by the window, my thoughts grew stronger. I asked myself simple questions. Is this my life now? Is this all I will ever know? Do I never get to choose anything for myself? One evening, Peter said we needed to drive to visit his cousin. It was late, but he said the visit was important. I took my coat and followed him to the car. The night was dark and quiet. The road was empty. I looked out the window and watched the sky. There were a few stars, pale and soft. They made me think of the nights before my marriage, when I used to sit outside my old home with my sisters. Back then, even simple moments felt warm. Now, they felt far away. Peter drove for a long time. He looked tired. I asked him if he wanted to stop and rest, but he said no. The road ahead was long and straight. There were no other cars. The sound of the engine was steady, and the night air felt still. I felt uneasy, but I stayed quiet. I did not want to upset him. After some time, the car slowly drifted to one side. At first, I thought the road was uneven, but then the wheels moved sharply. Peter's head tilted forward for a moment. His eyes closed. He had fallen asleep. I opened my mouth to call his name, but before I could speak, the car turned again, fast and sudden. The world outside the window moved in a blur. The car left the road and went down a small slope. I felt my body push forward. My arms hit the seat. My shoulder pressed hard against the door. I heard the sound of metal bending. Glass cracked. I tried to hold on to something, but there was nothing to hold. The movement stopped all at once. For a moment, there was no sound at all. Then I felt a sharp pain in my back. It spread slowly. I tried to move my right arm, but it hurt. I tried to turn my head, but the pain grew stronger. My breath came slowly. My body felt heavy. I heard Peter open the door on his side. I saw him step out of the car. He did not look back at me. He ran toward the road. Maybe he wanted help. Maybe he was afraid. I could not move enough to see where he went. The door on my side was stuck. I pushed it, but my arm did not work well. My hand felt weak. A few voices came from the top of the slope. People from nearby houses came running. Their steps were fast. They pulled my door open. They reached for my shoulders. They lifted me out, but their hands did not know where my body was hurt. The pain in my back grew stronger with each movement. I tried to tell them to stop, but no words came. My voice was too thin. The air around me felt warm, and my vision blurred. I heard someone say to call an ambulance. Then everything went dark. When I woke up, a soft light touched my face. I was lying in a hospital bed. My right arm was wrapped in a cast. My wrist was stiff. My ribs hurt when I breathed. My shoulder felt weak. I could not move my back without feeling a sharp pain. A nurse stood near me. She said I had been in the hospital for several days. She said the doctors were watching my spine. I listened quietly, but her words felt heavy. I looked at the ceiling. I felt small in the large room. It was hard to understand everything at once. Days passed. Doctors came and went. They spoke slowly and kindly, but their words were still painful to hear. One doctor said I could not use my right arm for a long time. Another doctor said my back needed strong care. I asked simple questions, but each answer made me feel more afraid. At night, the room was silent except for the soft sound of a machine near my bed. I could not sleep well. I stayed awake for hours. I watched the ceiling. I thought about my life before the accident. I thought about my marriage. I thought about the choices I never made. I wondered how I would live now. But even in all this fear and pain, I did not cry much. The tears stayed inside. I only felt a slow ache that did not stop. I did not know what the future would bring. I only knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. The days in the hospital moved slowly. I stayed in bed most of the time. I could not sit up without help. A nurse named Carla visited me every morning. She checked my back and my arm. She spoke in a calm voice and told me to rest. I tried to smile when she spoke, but the pain was always there. I felt weak and tired. Some days I slept for hours. Other days I stared at the window and watched the light change. The world outside kept moving, but mine felt still. One morning, a doctor stood near my bed. His name was Dr. Harris. He looked kind, but his words were hard to hear. He told me that the injury in my spine was serious. He said I might not walk again. I listened, but my mind felt slow. I asked if there was any chance. He said they would try, but he did not want to give false hope. I looked at my legs under the blanket. They did not hurt, but they did not feel strong either. I tried to lift my right foot. It moved a little, but not much. I wanted to ask more, but I felt too tired. The next day, another doctor explained that my arm and shoulder needed time to heal. He said the break was deep. I would need help with simple things for many months. After he left, I lay still and tried to breathe slowly. Each new detail made the future more unclear. I wanted to be strong, but the fear kept growing. I felt as if parts of my life were slipping away, and I could not hold them. Visitors came sometimes. My parents sat near my bed and spoke softly. My mother held my hand for a long time. My father looked worried but tried to hide it. They asked if I needed anything. I told them I was fine, even though I did not feel fine at all. Peter visited only twice. Both times he stayed for a short moment. He said he was busy with work and family matters. He did not look at me for long. He asked a few questions and then left. His distance felt even stronger now. I did not expect comfort, but I still felt alone after he walked away. Weeks passed. I stayed in the hospital for more than 2 months. My body healed slowly, but the truth of my new life became clearer each day. One morning, Dr. Harris sat beside my bed again. He said they had done all they could. He said my spine would not recover enough for me to walk. His voice was gentle, but his words stayed with me long after he left. I kept my eyes on the white ceiling. I did not cry. I was too tired to cry. Later that evening, I asked the nurse to help me sit in a wheelchair. My back hurt, but I wanted to feel the chair. I wanted to understand what my life would be now. She lifted me slowly and placed me in the seat. The chair felt strange. It was cold under my hands. The room looked different from this height. I sat there for a long time. I did not think about the past. I did not think about my marriage. I only tried to understand this moment. Some days after that, a small idea came to me. It was not strong, but it was steady. I wanted color. I wanted paint. I wanted something that reminded me of the world I once enjoyed. I was not sure if I could hold a brush, but I wanted to try. I asked my brothers to bring me simple paints and a small canvas. They looked surprised, but they agreed. When they brought the paints the next morning, I held the brush with my left hand. It felt heavy. My hand shook a little. I moved the brush across the canvas. The line was uneven, but it was the first thing that felt like mine in a long time. I kept going. The colors were soft and bright. People who passed the room stopped to look. They said the painting looked warm. They did not know how hard it was to lift the brush. They did not know the effort behind each small stroke. But I kept painting. For the first time since the accident, I felt a quiet sense of strength return to me. It was small, but it was real. Going home after the hospital felt strange. My brothers pushed my wheelchair into the house. The rooms looked the same, but nothing felt familiar anymore. I could not move the way I once did. I needed help to sit, help to wash, help to change my clothes. My mother stayed close to me. She tried to smile, but her eyes looked tired. I knew she worried about my future, but she did not say it. The days passed slowly. I spent most mornings near the window. I watched the street. I watched people walk to work or school. The world outside moved with steady steps, but I stayed still in my chair. At first I felt lost. I did not know how to live this new life, but I tried to stay calm. I tried to understand what I could still do. Painting helped me the most. My brothers set up a small table for me. They placed the paints and brushes near my left hand. My right arm was still weak, so I used my left hand for everything. At first, each stroke felt hard. My hand shook often, but the colors gave me a sense of peace. When I painted, the long days felt lighter. The pictures were simple, but they were mine. My family said the colors made the room feel warm. Their words helped me continue. My marriage did not grow stronger after the accident. In truth, it grew more distant than before. Peter visited only a few times. He stayed for a short moment and left again. There was no real care in his voice. There was no support. He did not ask what I needed. He did not ask about my struggles. After some time, he stopped coming at all. I understood that our marriage had no future. It was a life I had agreed to, but it was never my choice. One evening, my mother sat beside me. She asked gently if I wanted to stay in this marriage. Her question was soft but clear. I looked at her and felt a long silence between us. I told her I did not see a future with Peter. I did not feel safe with him. I did not feel close to him. My mother held my hand and said I had the right to choose now. Her words stayed in my mind for days. I spoke with my father after that. I told him I wanted a divorce. He did not get angry. He did not shout. He looked at me for a long moment and then nodded. He said I had been through enough and that he would support my decision. I felt some weight lift from me. It was the first time I felt I had made a choice for myself. The process was simple. Peter signed the papers without meeting me. The marriage ended quietly. After the divorce, I focused on small steps. I learned how to move faster in the wheelchair. I learned how to cook simple meals with one hand. I learned new ways to dress without much help. It was slow, but each small action gave me a sense of strength. I painted more often, and people began to notice my work. Some asked to buy my paintings. Others asked if I could show them at small events. I felt shy, but I agreed. Yet there was one truth that stayed in my mind every day. I would never give birth. The doctors had told me this in the hospital. At first, I did not think about it. I had too much pain, but now the thought returned often. I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to care for a child. I wanted to give love and guidance. The wish did not go away. One evening, I told my mother that I wanted to adopt. She looked surprised, but she listened. She asked if I felt ready. I told her I did. She nodded and said she would help me. So I began the process. I filled out many papers. I spoke with many groups. Some said it might take a long time. Some said it would be difficult. But I did not stop. I waited with patience. 2 years passed. Then one morning the phone rang. A woman from an adoption group said they had a baby boy. She asked if I wanted to meet him. I said yes at once. My hand shook a little as I waited. When the group arrived, they carried a small baby wrapped in a soft blanket. He was 2 days old. He opened his eyes for a short moment. I held him in my arms. He felt warm and light. I looked at him, and a strong sense of care filled me. My mother stood nearby and cried quietly. My father wiped his eyes. My brothers leaned close to look at the child. None of them spoke loudly. The moment felt calm and full. I named him Oliver. He slept often during the first days. I kept him close to me. When he cried, I held him until he rested. When he smiled, the whole room felt brighter. I learned how to care for him from my wheelchair. I placed a soft seat on my lap so he could lie close while I moved. I fed him slowly and carefully. I sang small songs to him. He began to follow my voice with his eyes. People sometimes stared when they saw me with Oliver in my chair. Some looked curious. Some looked unsure. But I did not hide. I took him to the park. I took him to the small store near our home. When people looked at us, I smiled. Some smiled back. Others did not. It did not trouble me. I knew what I was for him. I knew he was my child. As time passed, I began to speak at small events. I talked about life, loss, and new beginnings. At first, I felt nervous. But after each talk, people thanked me. They said my story helped them. Their words made me feel steady. I continued to speak and paint. My life grew in new ways. I never planned this life, but it became a life I could hold, a life with purpose, a life with my son, a life I chose for myself. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to English Medium Stories. Stay with us for more classic stories in easy English.